Thanks very much. It couldn't have been a better introduction. Actually, you mentioned all the kind of the topics around flow, inventory, basically. So information and flow could actually add and reduce inventory. So if it's organized well, you also mentioned analytics, and I think the two main messages is kind of value. Value is important, the value proposition, so to understand actually what value is. And the second one is basically the visibility of the supply chain, the processes, and actually understanding that. So I was asked to give a presentation here. So I'm from Dublin City University. I'm a researcher in information management, and I'm relatively new to the lean thinking, lean approach. And I was thinking like basically, so how can I combine now lean and what I do in research, information management, and processes. And the common thing, what I thought, what lean actually looks at and what it utilizes is that first word, the information. And for me now, what I know from lean and working with companies together is basically information. So understanding the processes and using the information, that is the key to actually really operate lean. So who has actually in the whole session, so I learned a lot already in all these presentations, but who has carried out a lean assignment, a lean improvement? One, two, few. Was it in a manufacturing area or actually all over the whole organization? Mainly manufacturing. So that's kind of what I saw actually as well from the kind of how lean manufacturing, then lean thinking is basically it's actually expanded into the whole organization. So a little bit of my background. My background is business informatics, enterprise computing, and I'm working in LERO, the research center, the software research center, and I'm working also in Insight. So I basically look for Insight is the analytics aspect, LERO is more the technology aspects to do that. And that's the way I came from, and then I thought about that presentation. So what can I contribute after a whole day of presentations around lean? Is aligning lean thinking and the principles to what I do, processes, looking at value of information, and then I found an interesting aspect on the value proposition canvas, IT value proposition canvas, which might give you a very simple tool, because from that what I see now kind of is lean can be lots of things. But the key is actually to start with something which you can implement, which you can use to do that. So that's the kind of in that short presentation. I know we have already kind of run over with the time, but that's what I try to do. So to me, lean is kind of that overall approach. So not just basically focusing on one area. So it can affect all the different areas in business. So we talked about innovation, design, customer service, manufacturing, sales. So it's the whole flow around that. And somewhere there's eliminating waste, or actually improving or delivering something beneficial, and the customer perspective. That's the kind of key thing. So when I looked at these principles then, I see two main areas which I try to focus on. Somewhere on that value, the value proposition. And the second one is somewhere, and that resonates very well to John's presentation, on looking at the flow, looking at the supply chain, understanding that well, and trying to optimize it to improving so perfection, flow, maybe it's information flow, maybe a pull system. So somewhere there are processes. So that's what I try to highlight here. We have value, understanding what the customer wants, and optimizing, organizing, flow processes around that. And then it has a lot, and you probably heard that a lot this morning already, or during the day, has a lot to do with variability. So why is variability actually so bad? Because when we talk about design, innovation, a little bit of variability is actually quite good to experience something, to actually find out something. So, but most of these lean thinkers basically say variability, we have to eliminate that, we have to reduce that, we have to get to something standardized, a standardized process. So, and I think actually it's between that. So we need to basically find a good way to standardize, to make certain activities efficient. But also, for example, when we talk about innovation, when we talk about design, we need to allow a little bit of variability, to just not so much, but a little bit of variability to actually get that innovation going. So, but we're talking somewhere about reducing variability. And then there's a lot about variability in supply chains. There's a whole research stream on it. So they have basically theoretical models to explain the linkage between lead time and variability. So, or information and variability. And one well-known effect is the bullwhip effect. So basically what they're looking at is on the different levels, the different stages in the supply chain, what they experienced, observed, was that basically variability increases over these levels of the supply chain. And then basically, so information sharing can help to reduce that. So research basically shows that information can help to reduce the variability in supply chains and reduce, addresses the bullwhip effect. It also can help to make better forecasts, it helps to coordinate, process coordinate, to track and trace products, it helps to anticipate problems, and enables lead time reduction. So somewhere actually, and that's probably most would agree, that information can help to improve something on the supply chain or on processes. Then, when we looked at flow and activities and processes, so I'm coming from a process background, we find two things. One is flow efficiencies, basically coordination of activities, and the other one is resource efficiency. So to me, that's actually quite important. And loads of kind of improvement projects focus on the resource efficiencies. So to do activities better, to do them actually faster, less defects. But the first one is as important as the other one, or even more important. It's actually coordination of the processes. Understanding the linkages between the activities and looking at what can information actually contribute to make that flow more efficient. And now, like usually the academics, they make things very complicated. We love kind of theories and very complicated models. So now I try to make a simplified example on kind of very simple warehouse shipping process. Acknowledging that there's something before, there's a manufacturing process, there's an order process before, and acknowledging there's something afterwards of that as well. So they are all linked together. But what we find typically often is kind of that process of shipping, it could actually improve something. It could maybe improve the picking of the items, inventory management system, but often it's actually the kind of linkages between the different activities. That's what I try to illustrate here. That basically you take an order, should ship that order, and if it's not well planned, if you don't know what you have in the inventory, you actually go back to the same order and put that order back again. So you actually kind of, when you actually don't know how much you have in your inventory, how much you have in your order, how much you can coordinate, so you can't plan that picking process on the bottom. So you actually reiterate all that. So a simple thing, basically a warehouse, picking and packing certain orders. And if it's not possible, it goes back to kind of a backlog order. What happens there? Basically, so we have a typical example of work in progress. We have somewhere unfinished orders because we haven't planned well. We have either not planned the manufacturing well, we haven't either observed what's in the inventory, or we just haven't planned at all. Like basically, so somewhere what we see then, we have either our orders, our incomplete orders go up, or our half-finished packed orders go up. So somewhere in there, that's a nice example where the flow actually doesn't happen. And what we could focus on is kind of resource efficiency, so we make one task better. But the key is actually to make that information exchange better. So to actually make it visible how many orders I have, how much I have in inventory, the production, so to coordinate that. And that's a nice example where with information, so with information I can eliminate these kind of iterations because I can plan and I can make that production line. So basically what information can do here is coordinate that process much better. So that's flow efficiency. But then I thought that's kind of actually obvious to make information available. Why doesn't it happen? Why is it actually so difficult to do IT projects, information management projects? It's much easier to tell someone, oh, we need a machine there for the picking and order processing, or we need more staff members. Information seems to be really a difficult thing to sell and to actually explain what it can do. Because like you see that often, like basically to make a manufacturing plant product in machines in there, it's much easier than doing these kind of projects. So, and I looked at what's out there and I found one which I'm working with is a canvas. So, very simple thing. What they try to do there is, and I like that kind of basically a canvas, a template to illustrate and to understand the contribution of IT solutions, information, and the user. So what they basically do, or what we do here is, we actually see information as a product, as a service, which has also a user. And you mentioned internally and externally, so it's somewhere it's consumed. And that canvas helps us to understand basically the product characteristics, but also on the other side, the customer needs, gains, pains, so what actually the customer tries to do. Yeah, I don't know if you can read that, but basically, so I can share the slides as well later. So that canvas helps us to discuss what the product is proposing, what it actually provides, the gains, so what IT solution actually can provide, and what it actually eases, so pain relievers, so what it actually tries to alleviate. And then on the other side, we have the customer, so the information user, which has the same thing, so basically they have gains, so benefits of a certain IT information solution, certain pains, certain things, what they're worried, risks, what happened, and also like they have a job, a planning job to do that. So, and typically there are alternatives to that. So what we try to do there is then applying that canvas, which is often used for product development for an IT solution, information solution, and used it for a simple tool like Evernote. Evernote is a tool for sharing documents, notes, and we basically pitched it into that canvas on the IT solution, so Evernote as a system, then pain relievers available of information, for example, search facility, notes can contain different formats, PDFs, text, and then on the other side we look at the customer side, on the information user side, so what they really would like to have is accessible information, finding meeting notes, and the customer job might be a planning job. So and that actually helps with kind of visualizing and discussing what information and what IT solution, like that's in a way now, what actually that could help to do, so to promote, to visualize, to help to understand what information can do. And to me, this is kind of the key for these kind of technical information solutions, to explain what information actually can do. And simple tools, simple canvases like that IT ready proposition canvas, I think can help to actually explain that. So I leave it to that, but for me, the main things on Lean, from the perspective how I come is, are processes, the flow of processes, information can help. And to start projects, we need to have a simple way to explain the benefits of IT solutions and information. And to start basically to get that kind of gray area of information That's actually the focus of this project. The IT value design can help, and these simple tools for workshops, there are great ways to do that. So, and I know we have a discussion on this type of questions.
Okay, thank you very much.